A video called I've Been Tagged. So obviously there's evidently we're going to have three hobbies, at least three hobbies or something like that we could do. So I've got three, and in fact I've got one or two more, but I'll just talk about briefly. Now it's not going to be a long video because obviously, you know, we're going to be starting on my modelling time soon, so I should want to get me 2 hours in, as I like to call it. Now, the reason I've got 2 hours, I do 2 hours, is because we like to go out during the day if we can, and go for walks when we can. So that's the reason for the 2 hours a day. Plus I've got my family commitments and all, because all my family have to rally round to help my mum, because my mum's got Alzheimer's. So you know, we're doing a lot of that. So starting in a couple of weeks time, I'll be over there every morning until she goes to a support group. Basically it's a COG course, cognitive learning they call it, and basically it's to try and retain as much of her memory as can and keep her active in the mind as well. It's not working really in some ways, because she's losing more and more of her memory, so not very nice at all. That's very sad. So anyway, so that's the reason, one reason for having 2 hours a day, plus the fact me and the wife do like to go out for walks and bits and pieces and that, and go to the cinema and all the usual things that people do. So anyway, so what should I do? My first hobby, well obviously my first hobby and love is tanks. It always has been. Before I got into tanks it was aircraft, and to be honest I think I'm more or less sort 55-45 in regards to aeroplanes to tanks now, because I've got quite a few aeroplanes to build now, and I've already built one, as you know, the Sky Raider. So that's another reason. I've got my tank that I'm actually building now, which is my Challenger one, Mark III. Really enjoying that so far. I've done the tracks and everything. I've done that over my mum's house, because I sometimes take a few bits to whittle away. If there's a lot of sanding to do, I take it over there and do. It gives me something to do when I'm not cutting her grass. I'll do other things as well. So that's another thing. So, and that's coming along quite nicely. At the moment I'm actually cutting off all the grab handles all over the turret and over the body of the tank where they're needed, and then drilling holes where they would have been and replacing them with brass wires, just because it can be done, and it gives it the 3D effect. When I looked at them, I keep they should look like a little blob on the turret. So that's what I'm doing with that. I've got the front handrails done on the turret, and I'm just drilling the holes to actually, because I've already removed all the handrails, just drilling the holes where they've got to be. You'll see that in the update when it comes up anyway. So that's it. So basically the main hobby of mine is actually obviously military model, as we know. My second hobby is, and the first one is the one I always like doing the most, which is the military modelling and the airplanes and bits and pieces. My second hobby is photography, and it's not so much important to me now, because obviously but it is, because I use it for me to actually put my videos up. I've got lighting bits and pieces I can use now. I used to have a big Nikon camera, a big one, a D800 I think it was, at 36 megapixels, way too big for anything. It was heavy anyway, brilliant for landscapes, but at the end of the day, when you want to print anything, the camera I've got now prints A3 anyway, so I don't really need to go that silly with it. So mine now, I've got a Fuji camera now. I've got the T100, which is a lovely camera. It's a 16 megapixel one. And I've also, and that's got the battery body underneath, and the actual extra hand clicks to actually do it, so you can turn it around and take a picture of which way, you know, the sort of hand grip like thing that goes around the side of the camera. Really lovely. And of course they've moved on now. They've got, I think it's a T1 something X1 I think it's called. Anyway, but it doesn't matter. But anyway, so they moved on. So that's the camera I've got now. It's a Fuji one. Lovely cameras, really work well. The one I'm using for this though, and I've started using for my videos again, is the Nikon P7700, and that's what I'm recording this video on now, and that's when I take my photographs on as well. I do use my camcorder, but I found that this one seems to be a little weird, because you can actually adjust something right down to bare white balance as well, so you can do that. So I've gone back to this for the moment. Not saying I'm not going to use the camcorder occasionally, because I will. So that's where it is with photography. I really loved it. I used to like doing landscapes and all that sort of thing, and obviously when I'm in a museum I take the tripod I've got now with me, and the Fuji sits on top, and I put it on manual and do everything, and lighting everything manually, and just do it on the timer if necessary to get the shot, and it works really well. So that's good. So Fuji and photography and landscapes. When I go on holiday I take a few landscapes as well. So quite enjoyed that. Really enjoyed doing that, I should say, and it's brilliant. So I love doing that. Third hobby. Motorcycling used to be one of my hobbies, and I had a motorcycle for many years, using it to work for Slade Green. I used to be a train driver. I was on a platform briefly, and then I went on to a train driver's job, and I used to use a motorcycle to get to and from Slade Green. And after I got back to Faversham, which is where I live, just down the road from the station is, when I moved back to Faversham as a driver, I still had motorbikes, but obviously I didn't use it for work because I could walk it in 10 minutes. That's how easy it was. And so we carried on with motorcycle for many years. Then we had an accident, and basically had a fatality in that, and basically we knocked someone over who stepped onto the road. It wasn't my fault, they'd stepped onto the road. So that really put a curtail for my motorcycle for about 6 months, and I never rode one. Then my brother Kevin had a little Yamaha 100, I think it was a 125 Yamaha Powervale thing, and he let me ride it around the block, and I rode around the block. And on the way back from my mum's house years ago, I actually bought another motorcycle. I never had another few years, about 8 or 9 years on my motorcycle. Now that come to an end because the wife, after the accident, because she was on the back of the motorbike when we had the accident, she got more and more nervous. So therefore I didn't carry on with motorbikes and went back to four wheels, and I've been on four wheels ever since. So, and that's it. But motorcycling is still a part of my life, because basically, and a hobby, because I've always watched motorcycle racing. And it's normally the Grand Prix, the Superbike, World Superbike, and the British Superbike. I don't watch it too many of the other stuff, I just watch those. And I must admit, if you ever have a bit of American Superbike on telly, I will watch it because it's motorcycling. But yeah, so my favourite rider out in motorcycling was, and still is Barry Sheene, because he was one of the first British champions. He won it twice in a row. I think it's 76 and 77. He won the championship twice, and he'd done some good performances for the rest of his career. He had major accidents that really can tell some of his chances of winning more championships, but basically he had major, but of course it made him famous as well. I don't suppose he wanted to go past many magnets because his body was full of bolts and screws. Anyway, so that Barry Sheene was one of my riders, and I've got a motorcycle model of his downstairs, a Mini Champs one, beautiful model of it, is it? And it's a great one. My next favourite rider, and it was because you've got to have a rider favourite for each area really at the end of the day, because I mean, let's face it, Barry Sheene was at the top of his field in motorcycling, and then obviously Kenny Roberts come along, and he had a spell. So they'd all been top of their field in certain eras, and the era that the next light was the Freddie Spencer era. I really I supported him a lot, and at that time we was going to motorcycle races when they came to England. I didn't go abroad to them, just went to when I went to Silverstone or Donington Park. And I like Freddie Spencer, another great rider, and I'm still a fan of his now, and I've watched a few races of his that I've got on you can get on YouTube or anywhere, and I've got a couple of videos with him on as well. So really liked watching Freddie Spencer and enjoyed his racing, and I like the fact that when one particularly, I think it was 85, he won the 500 and the 250 championship in one time. It's never going to be done again, I don't think, where you win the two championship 1 year, because he was getting off of 250 and stepping onto the 500 afterwards, so he didn't have much of a break between. So, but Freddie Spencer is another one of my great idols in regards to motorcycle races. When you move on now to the new era, in regards to MotoGPs, I think Valentino Rossi is great. He's won 9 championships, so he's done a lot. If he retired now, he'd still be a successful rider. What I don't like hearing though is when someone says this person was the greatest of all time, because you can't say that, because each rider in his era was top of his field. And if you take a rider from the modern era and say that he's far better than the ones of the old era, there's more races nowadays than what there was in them days, so I can't see how you can compare them. You can't say that he was best, he's the champion of the time. Marquez at the moment is the top, in this decade, he is one of the top riders. He is the top rider. And obviously Valentino had his period a bit further back, but he still was his top of the time. And at the moment, Marquez is better than him, but then again there's an age difference, but Valentino is still really hungry as well, as I like to say. Anyway, so that's it. So that's it. But there is a few other riders I really like and all. Tetsuya was a Japanese rider on the 350. He missed out on he got a championship, and he was on a private boat and he won. So see, there's so many good riders that I really admire, and that's it. So that's the end of those hobbies. Now, the wife, a hobby that me and the wife do is walking. We do a hell of a lot of walking, so that's another one. Normally, you can say we average, when we go out for a walk, an average 6 miles. Sometimes it's been up to 8 and sometimes it drops down to 5, but most of the time it averages around 6 to 7 to 8. So mile walks a day, when we can get out on a day, that is. Obviously we've got things on, so we don't always get out every day. Another thing we like doing is going to the cinema, and we both do that. We just come back today. We just watched a film called The Informer. It's a new film, it's just come out. Blooming good. And then don't ask me who the actor was, because I can never remember their names, because names was another thing I've always suffered from in all those years. I obviously I know everyone locally and people I know, and I talk to regularly, I know their names all the time. But the people when I was a trainer, I used to have 12 people in the class, I'd actually have to work out and remember their names. By the end of the course I normally remembered them, but as soon as they went and I had another 12, I had to start remembering another one. So now the old adage was everyone used to say hello mate, and the reason was because they couldn't remember your name, but they always remember me because of me. I was their trainer and that sort of thing, so it's quite funny that. So anyway, so back to the thing. So walking is another one of my great hobbies as well, and that's really it really. And so who am I going to tag? Well, I'm going to tag Switcher. I know he's doing something at the moment, so in regards to the hobby, so he's actually doing something, so therefore he quite now he will have more hobbies than, well, you can shake your leg at, or stick at, as I used to say. So that's who I'm tagging. It'll be Switcher, and he'll get this. He does watch me videos when I bring them out. So there you go. So thank you very much for watching, and Switcher, you've been tagged, and I'm sorry I gabbled on rather a lot. Thank you very much. I'll see you later. Bye.